Okay, we're going to pick up a part 3 of our discussion here with Brother Billy Jam, William Zimmerman, who is telling us in the midst of giving us a little bit of a commentary of the decades of Steubenville, the local area as it relates to the black experience here in Steubenville, through these decades of his life, through his eyes, and telling us a little bit about himself and some of the things that he did. I introduced him originally as a celebrity, somewhat of a celebrity when I was growing up. And we've gotten to that celebrity part of his life and that time period in Steubenville. And so we're going to get back on the time. And if you watch the other 2 segments, you see we're at the point in probably right in the late 80s, the late 80s and the 90s. And we're going to pick up when basically Billy Jam is at his height. And it got to the point where he had some mentees underneath him because he had so much work, and he had tutored some other, or menteed some other DJs. And so we want to know what Steubenville was like in that time. And he's given us some key words, and we'll go over them here in a little bit. But one of the things when he reached his height, he got so big, and some might say full of himself, that he had the nerve, or the talent, whichever one you want to say, to make up actual rap, because we done moved into the late 80s, the mid 80s and late 80s now, and rap has come out. And he actually made up a rap. So if you remember any of that, give us a little bit of that.
Let me see here. Chicky, chicky, bang, bang, chicky, wang, wang. Don't let go till I say so. Yabba dabba do, say the hoochie coo. I'm going to break it down just for you. That was written by Horace Hampton.
Okay.
Let me tell you a story about who I am. Long before you heard of Billy Jam. I am so sweet. I am so kind. My reputation, I blow your mind. I'm 5'8". My head is straight. And I rap to ever participate. Well, you seen the rest. Now check out the best as I rap to you with total finesse. Say B-R-O, you know spells bro, but Hollywood sure looks good. But J-A-M spells jam. So you know who I am. See, I'm the brother of everybody. But I'm here to make you party. Don't mean to brag too much, because I'm the one with the soft touch. Said, wait a minute, get set to sweat, because you ain't heard nothing yet. I'm going to get you hip, take you on a trip. Like the Long Ranger in the face of danger. Like Roy Ayers is no stranger. Like Peggy Fleming skating on ice. Like Paul Revere riding through the line. Letting you know Billy Jam's on the mic. You need to quit, man.
Okay, listen. Awesome. And back then, as I told you, people had parts of that from going to your things, and you would hear that through the halls. Yeah. We used to do. You remember this when you was at Grand School? The first thing you did when you got on the bus was what? Especially for the beginning of the year, you had to do what when you got on the buses? Oh, come on, Billy. Well, those of you who played for Grand School.
Oh,
you were supposed to practice
Tigers
and Grand School. And so you had to come up with what? You had to come up with a beat.
What's the word? Yeah, Grand School. Yeah.
Different beat.
Yeah, Tigers. But we're 20 years ahead of that now. So when we get
you guys are, maybe you weren't, but this is what we did. Yeah. My point is that even some of our beats, we'd start singing some of your raps to that beat.
Well, we didn't have rap then. All we had was shaft.
There you go. Okay. There you go.
That's all we had.
What song did you usually do that rap to?
Was more bounce to the ounce.
More bounce to the ounce. Good deal. Yeah. Okay, so that was just a little bit of going back to the good times. You know, good time. You talked about a little bit of a competition between you and King Iko and Buckeye Butch. Buckeye Butch and Brother Goose, and we gave shout out to Rozelle. You gave shout out to Hollywood, of course. Master Z. You said. Third, gave a little bit of love to Third.
Robert Grant, did you know him?
Yeah. Robert Grant, of course. Mears Avenue. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. I made him sign a contract.
Is that right? He made you got a contract. Like I said, it was funny, like you said, there's some things that happened. You talked about the business side of things, and it took a while for you to understand business, but by the time you understood business, it became a business. Right. But something you said, you told us that towards the end, 91, you said was your ending. Towards that end, you had to give your business and some of your DJing opportunities or things was to one of your mentees because of the gangster rap.
Third.
Okay, so let's start there. What happened there? What was going on in that time period?
I just couldn't play. The songs had curse words, and it got to the point where, you would be somewhere and it would say, "Oh, I'm in love with you tonight." They would put the F word in. Yeah, and I was like, "Hey, man, what if somebody's mom is in here and they singing that across the bar?" You know what I mean? And the young people, it was just a different time, and so I quit. Doubled my price,
You're gonna make some money on the way out.
Well, because I told him I don't play no more. So I said third still. I gave the gigs to third, and he took it to the next level himself, and was just. But I would refer my gigs to him or.
And third was young at the time.
And Chris Williams.
Yeah, Chris, but third was very young at the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty young. I mean,
he loved that music, so
exactly. That's my point.
It's their time,
but not just loving the music, because it wasn't so much that you didn't like the music, because I'm sure it still had a beat. I'm sure we're still rhythmic.
Right.
You may not have enjoyed the curse words, but I'm sure as a man, just yourself, it didn't offend you necessarily. You knew what they were talking about. You just didn't want to be the purveyor of that.
Right.
Because I say that to say, we get into the 90s, that's probably the big structure change. That's probably the time when a lot of things changed. And that's probably where we could study or unpack that decade and understand how different it was.
Right.
That decade was a game changer within the black community, in my opinion. Right. Some will talk about the 80s when the crack epidemic moved in. And yes, that might have been a difference with the crack. But the manifestation.
I saw my friends with cocaine and crack. It just tore up everything.
It tore up everything. But I believe that what you said is key. And I'm not blaming you or wouldn't blame, I don't necessarily blame us, the people, those elders who was the elders at that time. But that's kind of how it went. I'm not going to deal with that, but go ahead, you do it.
Right.
Instead of what you told me early on when you said there was a line that you didn't cross. That's right. And older people didn't allow you to cross it. I think, not blaming you, but I'm saying, we all did that type of stuff. Or the people that was your age and maybe a decade older than you, they allowed third. And when I say third, I'm saying people like that. It could be about DJing. It could be about music. It could be about sex. It could be about drugs. It could be about teenage pregnancies. It could be about a lot of things. It could be about the church, what the church allowed into the church at that time. All kind of things the community start allowing.
Well, that's...
Instead of chastising.
Well, but you ain't got that structure there to block it. You ain't got, like I ain't gonna say this. I had a friend who was gay. But in his house, he wasn't, because he respected his mom. His mom didn't allow it.
Right.
But now, I'm not saying that's just a different point. But
no, that's a key point.
Yeah.
Because whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent is not the point.
I ain't saying
The point is, as the time went, the late 90s to the 2000s, that probably wouldn't happen. That person would be gay in the house too.
Right.
Now, what do you think are some of the reasons? I mean, do you have anything that you think you could? Did you ever? Have you ever thought about that?
I think we prosper, and it broke up our community because now kids go to college, and before everybody stayed in the community, you don't have the mother and fathers. You have broken families. So and then my generation ain't making the kids go to church. If you look at, now I'm 62, but if you go back to when I was 50, that's 12 years back, right? That generation. The churches you ain't made to go to church. You can go out on Friday and Saturday. You can listen to rap music. You can do everything all day long. But back when we was growing up, if you don't go to church on Sunday, that gave your mom the word no. You ain't allowed to do this. You ain't allowed to do that because you didn't go to church.
So your excuse for not going to church better not be because I'm sleepy. Because if that's the case, you got to be in earlier because you know you got to go to church.
My age bracket, 5 years before me and 5 years after me, stopped going to church.
Okay.
So and just as when it hits you in the face, I try to make mine.
Right.
But that don't bring the community back. You know what I mean? So
and what happens again to add to that when you say you wanted to make yours go, they still wasn't getting the same thing in the church. The church was different.
Church is different.
The church was different. So what you expecting them to get where they go, which is why you want them to go there, they're not really getting that because that's how I went to church. My dad could care less whether we went or not. My mom sent us to church. But she didn't go.
Yeah, there you go.
She didn't go. He was just, if for some reason we'd act like we didn't want to go, he would have been the one enforcing what she said, but he didn't go. And then she didn't go, but my grandmother went. And my great-grandmother went. So we went to church on Sundays. My mom got us ready, and we went to church. The problem is when we got there, it was all women. Very few men. Once I got there, so you're talking about the 80s now. And that's the other thing. And so so those are a couple things, like you said. I don't think, but all of that stems back to the black male not being in the home, I believe.
That's part of it. That started home, broken family.
Part of that is that a lot of times, like you said something very key. You said the man ran the house. or was the authority in the house.
Right.
But the mom ran everything.
Mom ran everything.
But her authority
and
to run the house.
Women learned how to be women,
but
the
but
boys are taught sports instead of economically being in charge of something.
But even before that, they were taught to mind.
Yeah, they were taught to mind.
They were taught by their parents, but it was enforced by dad.
Right.
Because dad may not be in here telling you, but let me tell him you ain't mine.
Wait till your daddy.
Then the fist coming.
Yeah, the fist is coming.
My point is that when you take the authority, or when you take the power out of the authority no longer has the authority. It has power to. So you may tell me over and over again to do this. Sooner or later, I realize you have no power. Exactly. So if there's no male figure in the house, authority loses its power. It doesn't have the same effect.
When you 12, 13, 14, and your mom was beating you, it don't hurt.
No, exactly.
You got, you cry just to help out. But then you got CBS, Walmart. You got industries, like they say, we don't make drugs. We don't make rap songs either.
Right.
We don't make the shows, like me and you talking, you did 3 episodes without a curse word.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I don't know.
Come on, man.
Yeah, because we found out it was GOT.
Yeah, G-O-T. Right.
D-A-M-N.
Yeah.
Billy Jam.
Oh, yeah. So
okay,
if you can go to Walmart, CBS, Columbia Broadcasting Systems or stations, you see women on TV now, prime time with no clothes on, or things like this, right? That our broken structure, they put that right back into our community, and you need somebody to say no. That's like now cell phones. When we come in the door, I copied it. As soon as they come in the door, your cell phone has to sit on the counter. Kids will tell you, "This is my phone."
Yeah.
Now I said, "Whoa! They don't take it. You go outside with it." Because if you give it to them, they think, "No, I tell them, no, man, that car ain't yours. The cell phone ain't yours." And then I say, "Hey, make this call for me." I ain't got no power. Then give me the phone. Then what you need it for? But it's $1,000 phone, right? But or you tell them, "Hey, go do this." So, but back then, our grandmother, you got hit for everything.
Oh man,
my grandmother should be doing prison time.
Yeah,
for all the time she hit me, guys, you with a switch.
Well, and the reason you would think she would do prison time, but the reason she didn't do prison time because what she was doing was something you needed.
Still needed. So what's the difference?
Exactly.
But
well, there's a different interpretation, like you said. People then is allowed to take that and move on. So again, I wanted to kind of hit on that a little bit about the time change there when you said that about what you turned over, because it was just, for lack of a better word, the music started getting ratchet.
Yeah,
and you just wasn't going to be a purveyor of that.
And I got tired. And I started doing,
and other people took over. And so then, what did you do?
So then, but I already was doing the kids thing. And
you mean kids dances? You mean? Or?
No. Now I'm doing like taking the boys. I'm still, and my thing was exposing, but right now I'm saying discipline instead of me. I say I'm going to treat them to a fairness of the world because they're not going to get it. I'm going to have a basketball tournament and there'll be no cheating. I'm going to have everything I have for them. They're going to see how things are fair, but it ain't going to last. This is it.
Okay.
So then I start saying, well, you know what? That's not good enough. I'm going to expose them to everything I can and show them that you need the structure. You got to do work. You got to do it now, because if you get older, you can sit around and do nothing all day long.
Now, when you say you were going to show them this, they were going to just pick this up by participating in it? Or did you give some...
I had a program where I went to Big Brothers.
Oh, okay.
And I saw what they were doing. And this in the 80s. I said, and show you how you can be wrong. I said, none of that's right. They don't need none of that. That's all icing on the cake. You got to teach them how to personal hygiene, how to balance a checkbook, cash debit, general credit. Meaning, if you got $1, what's 50% of $1? They'll say 50 cents. I say, what's 15%? They're lost.
Yes.
And this is a pro guy. I'm talking like this Steelers. I say, hey man, what's 20% the tip for $20? I said, you just signed a $20 million contract. You gave 30% to somebody. And did you know that if you get $20 million, that you only get 10?
Right.
50% go to taxes. No, 50% is taxes.
Right.
Unless you know how to shelter it.
Okay.
So now, let's just put some count here. You got 20 million.
Right.
You say, hey, that guy's he's rich, but he only take home 10.
Okay.
So 10 went to taxes. 30% of that is 30 million that went to his agent.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So now he only got 70 million.
Right. Oh, you said he had 100,000. Yeah. You said if he had 20 million.
Yeah.
So, if
so
he had
in other
100,000,
words,
50 million,
all
right.
those percentages cut down to, then if he signed with somebody that he got an agent, a lawyer, that's 50%.
An accountant.
An accountant. And they tell you you're a business in all these big ballers.
Right.
And so others, when they count their money, if they don't know what 15% of a dollar is,
right.
You know, that's 15. If what's 15% of $100, $15, how they gonna know when they sign it? Oh, I'll pay somebody.
And so this is part of your program with these kids.
I teach them all.
And so everything you talk to them about. So you have some type of a
yeah.
program that's going on. You want to elaborate on that program at all? Or?
Well, after I went into the Masonic era, and that starts right then, and I'm mentoring the boys, which I love. And so I had to learn that language. And then once I got the boys in, there was all kind of structure. And I felt that the most prominent black men in the community were Masons. So who better to show young men? But it's only temporary. Right. So you only get them from 8 to 18. So you got to show them. But you don't want a 16-year-old.
Right.
You want to get them while they're 9 and 10, because a 16-year-old got activities, school, girlfriends. He don't want to be with no grown man. Right. So what you groom them for between that age, when they're all single parents. I didn't learn that till somebody walks up to me and say, "Hey man, everybody you got is single parent," or their grandmother. I'm telling you, one young man I shouldn't say, but he's going to get drafted in the NFL down in North Carolina, 18.
Oh, okay, good.
I had him.
Okay.
His grandmother would say when I came up, she didn't know I had a love for him. Don't leave him. So I ride through Wheeling, and we coming up the hill. He have his bag packed, and
that lasted until he was
18.
Okay, so then he went to college.
Then he becomes an
You used to have any contact with him at all now? Or?
Yeah, well, he's living his life, but at age 17,
what I mean is,
Park, he's busy.
What I mean is,
but he's looking at the other kids.
Okay, no, I just didn't know. My point was, are you still in his life?
He's still grooming. Yeah, but right now he's in college, a senior.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I didn't know I knew he was doing well, but I didn't know he was doing that well that he's expecting to be drafted.
When he was 10 years old, he challenged the older boys.
Right.
And I told him, if you learn your stuff,
right, and
you learn, your criteria, your book work, you can. And this was something unprecedented with the young. I said, you can challenge.
The reason I was asking how he was doing was, because the next question was going to be, do you think you did any good? Did it stick?
I showed him something, but I don't take credit for that.
No, not necessarily.
Because he had other structure down there.
Yeah, but my point though is
the point of it all being a villain. Like I say, we have to bring.
Did he use what you gave him, and did he?
I think he's going to be a class act.
Is that right? Okay. He's a success story.
I think he's a But he told me, and a young man, anything can fall short. So I mean, something could happen, but to hold that against him, never. But the exposure. Yeah. Back to us then. I'm going to tell you this.
Hold on, let me just say this. He's already a success because you said he went to college. He's great.
That's right.
And go to thing. He's already a success. And it wasn't so much I was trying to say that he's still on the clock.
Yeah.
He's already punched the clock because I think your first goal was you want to get him through college. High school.
Yeah.
And then go to college or go to the military or have a good job or whatever. But just be a good young man.
Right.
And so when I asked you if you ever talked to him, I was just wondering, is he still respectful?
Very.
If you call him, he appreciates what you did for him.
Very.
Or what he was in his life.
I saw him somewhere and he said, hey, Mrs. I'm looking, I don't know you, I'm looking up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's about 6'4" now, ain't he? About 6'3", 6'4". Yeah.
So that's the reward. But, okay. But working with...
Now, you said back to us. When you said us, what did you mean by us?
How you expose yourself. You get those kids. That's the beauty of this. Like I said, let's bring up Harvey Creech's name. I remember one time going to see the kid, White Lightning.
Oh yeah.
I get over.
That was our first year. That was our first year.
He's running all over the field, right?
Yeah.
I said, this is good because you didn't pick and choose. He was the best kid, and he was running around like Barry Sanders.
Yeah,
I never forget that. White Lightning. I don't know his name,
Carmine,
but I want to know where he's at. Yeah. So anyway, how you exposing kids and you get them my love. I remember coming to a practice. I'm driving through Pleasant Heights, and Harvey Creech is running me down. Sam. I was like, what? What's going on? I think something wrong. Yeah. There's other kids running in front of me. Harvey's following him home. We gonna get him, sign him up.
Yeah.
Then he said, well, we might need a sponsorship for this one kid.
That's right. That's right.
But just to say the love of it, but how you guys recruited kids is another thing that I was at a seminar before, and they asked me, how did we get the kids?
Right.
And I told them, they went and got them, bro. I said, just like the church, you got to feed them
and
go get them. I said, and you expect the kid to come out of his house and just walk up to you guys? I said, that's secondhand. Yeah. Their money is secondhand. Yeah. That's not their money.
Or if you think you can just put something in the paper and they come. No,
yeah, they're not coming. They go get them.
Yeah.
I said, and then there's a warm market where we kind of know everybody.
Right.
I said, but believe it or not, I got family members I had to sell myself to take that young man out of their house.
Right.
So that, because people get responsible when you knock on their door.
I agree.
And I shouldn't say, but tell this. We used to tell some parents, I'll say, hey, if I had the money to take 10 kids somewhere, I would take just 10.
Yeah.
But if I got 15 I'm working with, say the one kid is not financial and I can't get it. But there's some guys I could go to, and that's why I can't ever take no rewards. I say, hey, I got this kid I'm taking. I got you, Billy. Problem. Here's the money. You make sure we go. And then someone that went with me before said, here. And I said, well, I take the money. But long story short, they would fund it. But say I come to your house, you got to confine in the parent. I say, hey, Mac, you tell me, Billy, my kid can't go, example, because I don't have the money. I say, okay, I'm going to give him 10 things to do. Your wife, you write down what you want him to do. He's going to fail somewhere. So when I come to that door, I want my other kids going to see it. I said, you have him pack his bag. He got to have everything I said. And I said, and you can't fuss at him. I said, but you fuss at him because they know that means I'm going to leave him.
Right.
So when I get there, I already know he ain't financial and he ain't going.
Right.
So he fails in front of everybody. He sees that, hey, I got to do what Mr. Zimmerman say. Or he came to the door and I didn't get to go. But you knew that I was going to leave him.
Exactly.
Not then saying that. So in other words, behind the scenes, you got to tell the parents. They got to come in with you.
Yes. And they got to be 100%.
And I never take kids nowhere and not know their parents, because I was actually learned. I was in Wheeling before, and a parent came say, "What you doing with my son?" I'm protecting him. I said, "Oh, well, man, you don't talk to him." He said, "That's my son. I should know that. It's his dad." So we learned in this game, and I started a league before next to a house.
Yeah, because my first question would be, "Why don't you know me?"
I got Thank you. Son. That's right.
I got your son. Like I was wrong. Next thing I'd be asking you is, well, why don't you know who I am? Because I know if you had my son, I would know you, or he wouldn't already be with you.
We know better.
So okay, so
that's just how we're a step further than we've been. So
you mean as far as
in this community, we can reach every kid that comes in our path, and I want to say it like that, especially in every black kid for 10 years that came through the school system in Weird, and I'm saying that I touch base with.
Okay,
every one of them. And in Steubenville, you touched, I don't know the majority of it, but your numbers were off the chart.
Oh, yeah. We had a lot of kids that we dealt with, that we had relationships with, parents that we have relationships that we still have.
That's where
I get a stack. I could show you. Right. I got a stack this high of graduations of kids that only invited me because I was their coach from the Tigers. You know what I mean? And I consider them my kids when I go see Big Red play. I always say those are my kids. Those are my Tigers. You know what I mean? And,
I heard that. I hear that all the time.
You hear that all the time. Yeah, that group, the group that won the state title in the 17, I believe it was, the group before that group, and the group after that, 90% of the kids playing on the field at any one time had played for the Tigers.
Right. I see it. Yeah. You guys.
And it was one of those things when we talked. We had in one of the episodes I talked to you about a PhD. Yeah, having a PhD.
That's right. You got it. I'll sign the paper for you.
Yeah, well,
won't nobody check my signature?
Yeah, exactly. And don't nobody really care, except well, some people will care if you say you got a PhD. They think you know what you're talking about. Yeah. So since at certain things, I think we know what we're talking about because we've experienced it. We've seen that was the culmination of the numbers. Was one thing in 1990, in 1996 to 1999, the numbers at Harding Middle School for football was one thing. In 2002, they were one, a certain number. In 2004 and 2005, started to become an increase, and it consistently went up on how many kids was playing for the football team. Right. That was a direct effect of having kids in a system, so that when they got to the age to go leave us, they had been playing football. They expect to play football. They expect to have some discipline. They expect to know that there's a way they got to do it. Yeah. They expect to know that they may have to go sign up. They may have to go practice and lift weights when they don't want to. One of the key things that helped our kids be able to make it in the Big Red program or in the Harding School program and then Big Red, which is all pretty much the same, was kids wasn't going out and playing because one of the things they was getting disqualified for was in the summer, they wasn't going up to lift. They wasn't going up to run. twice a week and lift twice a week. So because they didn't go, when it came time for them to come to school and try to join, no, if you didn't come to fitness, you're disqualified.
Right.
Now, maybe a lot of people don't know that, but that's how it worked.
Well, I know y'all had all kinds of strips.
So what we did was, that helped. We didn't do it specifically for that, but how it helped. We had practices at 6 in the evening through the week in July when we started.
Right.
You know where kids usually were at 6 o'clock in the evening in July?
The pool.
The pool.
Yeah.
Now they couldn't be. They had to be home in time to make it for practice.
Oh, okay.
To eat possibly before. So you had to leave the pool early.
Right.
What would make you leave the pool early, especially if your parents could care less? There ain't nothing that'll make you leave the pool early. But there had to become something. You had coaches waiting on you. You had other players, maybe friends waiting on you. Other people was leaving. If you weren't, you had better do what they're doing. There's no excuse. Oh, yeah, I seen Billy. He's down at the pool. Oh, yeah, at the pool. Melvin get right in that truck. He'd go right to that pool. Get out of there and get in this. Get in the truck.
I seen Melvin had kids laid down in the truck that he picked up.
He's right. Always. My point, though, is what they started to learn of sacrifice. Right. They had to learn that when I normally wouldn't want to do this, I got to do this because there's something at it. But you had to have something for them. They have to feel they're getting something out of it because it's a disruption of what they want to do.
You also made it a popular and if you're a Tiger, you were somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I thought we were going to put it on a building one time. I remember I talked about that. But long story short, I had to change at our basketball camp at the MLK one year. I changed it to first timers, and I came up to you. You went in, and I told them we don't want no Tigers because I couldn't accommodate 100 kids. Right. So I'd rather get kids that never
don't tell the Tigers. You'd have to come to me and say, "Hey, you got 4 or 5 kids that need this or need that. I could take because if you'd have just said go get the Tigers, you'd have had 40 people.
And I made a comment one time, and it got. I think they heard. I'm gonna tell you what I said. I said, "Yo, no Tigers. This is a first time for first timers, we called it. But I invited other kids because I figured y'all guys wasn't supposed. I said, I ain't Sylvia Crawley. I can't afford I can't accommodate 100 kids. But back to Sylvia, I can say this: Sylvia came to Steubenville. She had a camp, and to show you that same instance, the same thing when I couldn't accommodate. I remember coming to her the day she would have the dunk contest and the basketball games. I think she had. Some of the guys she played with, the guys that played. But anyway, I said, Sylvia, I got 52 kids. She says, bring them. I said, she said, oh, there's no
problem.
No
I'm
problem.
Take care of it.
I said, I got 52 kids. I'm about to make 3. She says, bring them.
Let's park here for a second. I was struck by you talking about Mr. Jeter. Yeah. And then you talked about Brother Iko. But you talked about, meeting Oscar Robertson.
Didn't know who he was at the time or
Ray Griffith,
years later.
Ray Griffith coming
to,
Archie Griffith coming to Steubenville.
With Cornelius Green.
And then talking about Ryan Terry making it into the NFL, and Buster Tillman went to the NFL for a short stint. Harry Wilson, Chucky was in the CFL for a little while. Zach Claris obviously in there. So, we have some Sylvia Crawley talking with Michael Jett and seeing some stuff on